Hey everyone, welcome to TheWrap's International Screenings Series. I'm Sharon Waxman, I'm the CEO and the Editor-in-Chief of TheWrap, and we're really happy to have you here for our tour around the world of the top films that are going to be contenders for the International Academy Award. We are really looking forward to a very busy extended awards season, so please be on the lookout for new additions to our series every week. To be sure you're invited to all of our future events, please check out our membership service, Wrap Pro. We'll be kicking off today's event with the director of BULADO, this year's entry for the International Academy Award from the Netherlands. We're going to start with the BULADO trailer, and then we'll go into a conversation with director Éche Janga. There's not going to be a Q&A today, as we often do at our in-person screenings, but we would love all of you to participate in the live chat. Let us know where you're coming from and what's your favorite part of the film. And so before we bring on the director, here's a trailer for BULADO.
Siempre ito ko pinto. Esta caricia a mí no me cara. Ahora me está en soledad. Laga sínticos não. E me não estou compreendendo.
Waarom ben je niet op school?
Mama sofra. Tour sushi. Hou Costraia passar.
Espírito de mamma vai tomar contato com
Maneira morto. Ito papi cuci com.
lágrima na indicativo, ang sangue, ang sudor, ang tremita de que ter aqui. Como é o gesto? Respeitar zij. Emocionalmente. Tem espírito de guerreiro, Son dos sentir.
Papi.
Welcome back. It's my pleasure to introduce director Éche Janga. Director Éche Janga graduated from the Netherlands Film Academy in 2010 with his film Mo, which won several prizes. After directing a number of short films, Éche directed his debut feature Helium in 2014, which premiered in competition at the International Film Festival Rotterdam, and then won 2 national film awards for Best Camera and Best Music. BULADO is Éche's second feature as a director. Welcome to you, Éche.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, wonderful. Tell us, where are you coming from? You're coming to us from the Netherlands, right?
Yeah, I'm coming from the Netherlands. My mother is originally from the Netherlands, but my father is from Curacao, the island where the BULADO was shot at.
Was shot. Okay. Well, I'm just pointing out, I want to know where everyone's coming from, because since we're doing our screening series this year virtually, we're getting to literally talk to people all over the world. So you're going to be, you're just one in the visits that we're getting to take in this sort of global visit. and it's really cool. Okay, but let's just start in talking about BULADO. Let's just set the stage for the average viewer over here. Explain to us, what is Curacao, the island, in relation to the Netherlands, and what is the historical connection there?
Well, Curacao is a former colony of the Netherlands, and yeah, they had like 3 islands. It was Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire, and yeah, they still have a special relationship because the history is like 400 years of history between those 2 countries. And like 10 years ago, Curacao went independent, but they still have a strong relationship between.
Did you say how long ago?
10 years ago.
That's all. So it's very recent.
Very recent, yeah.
Mm. And did you grow up going to Curacao because your dad's from there?
Yeah, I visited my family, but I wasn't born there. My father was born there.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised in the Netherlands, but yeah, I grew up in a house with a Dutch mother and a father from Curacao. So I had those different cultures in my household. Yeah.
Yeah, and you grew up kind of proud of that heritage in Curacao.
Yeah, in the beginning I didn't know much about it because my father had a traumatic youth at Curacao. But when I was like 16 or 17 years old, I started living with my uncle. My uncle was also a filmmaker, and he told me a lot about the island and the culture, and I learned most of it from him. And actually, the grandfather in the film, the old man with the wild hair,
yeah,
he resembles my uncle. Actually, it's my uncle.
That is your uncle?
No, it's not my uncle, but
okay, spiritually.
It's based on my uncle. Yeah. Passed away.
Yeah. Well, the film is very beautiful. It's very contemplative. It's very poetic, and you use all of these. The cinematography is absolutely gorgeous. The score is very beautiful. There's a lot of silences in the film with your 3 main characters, this little girl and her father and the grandfather. Talk a little bit about what was your sort of your thinking, your approach in bringing a film that really has a lot going on that I think the viewer needs to fill in. I'm thinking you want the viewer to be filling in these spaces.
Yeah, because likewise in my first feature film, Helium, there was also not so much of dialogue because for me, like it's a fact, like communication between people is like 90% non-verbal in real life. I don't know how it is between a webcam, but so in film, this is for me the most interesting medium to communicate this language of human beings, the connection of human beings. So the less dialogue for me is the stronger the image. So this is the reason why I always use not so much of dialogue, and mostly I tell my story with the image and looks of the looks of people, how they behave, how they look at each other. That's important for me, because also related to the culture of Curacao. People in Curacao, they don't speak that much, but when they say something, it's heavy, or it's I don't know the English word now, but it's
meaningful.
Yeah, maybe yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's why I also had not so much of dialogue in BULADO.
Is there a strong conflict between Dutch culture and native Curacao culture? I did not realize that it's just so recent that Curacao is an independent nation.
Mm-hmm.
What is the conflict that exists there, or has it been more of a smooth transition because you're 150 years after the end of the colonial, 100 years certainly after the end of the colonial era, sort of formally speaking?
Well, the conflict right now is more a conflict of language. So people from Curaçao, they speak Dutch. Most of them speak Dutch, but actually they don't need to speak Dutch. And it's still on schools they have to speak Dutch, but it's getting more and more often. Papiamento is the main language over there. That's the native language, and more people.
By the way, do you speak it?
Just a bit.
A bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally different. It's
a mixture of Spanish, Portuguese, Dutch, English, and a bit of African languages. So the conflict is most about the language at this moment. Yeah, and that's why it's also in the film. The father wants to teach the daughter Dutch, and the grandfather is telling him, "No, you don't. You have to teach her the culture, not the language of the former colonization."
How did you find this young woman? What's her name? Tiara Richards. She's wonderful. She has to carry so much of the film because the camera's very close in on her emotions and on her face. So much of the film.
Yeah, we visited a lot of schools, and we're searching for a young girl between the age of 10 and 12. And she resembles my sister when she was younger. She was a really tough girl and proud and loud also and strong. And I was looking for a girl who had that, and she was like, she didn't understand what it was about when we came into the classroom, but she raised her finger and she said, "Yeah, whatever it is, I want to join. I want to do this because school's boring." So and then later on she found out we are going to make a feature film, and it was a big surprise for her. But she's a natural, like you can see in the film. She's so good. I learned a lot from her as a young being, but also as a director. I learned that I could direct children as adults, because she wanted more and more all the time. I didn't have to say those sweet things you have to say to most kids when they are on the set. She just wanted to be treated as an adult, and it was really cool for me and really.
She had not acted before.
Never.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So did you just spend time talking to her, or did you get her an acting coach? Sort of, how did you approach this totally new thing for her?
Yeah, well, I hanged out with her for a couple of weeks, together with the father in the film, Uira. And we went to like these water parks and the beach, and just having fun together, and just bit by bit talking a bit about the story, and so she could learn from it. And then I introduced her to the grandfather, and so we became a sort of family outside of the film set. So when we were on stage, but when we were on set, she could twist and she could turn the button, and then she went off. Yeah, she was like she could totally understand everything about the film, although it's a rather difficult film to understand for a child. But she was really smart. So it was.
Yeah, because so much of it is it's below the surface, and it's all of these ancient cultural tensions that if you're 10 or 11 or 12, like, it doesn't have any meaning for you. I imagine you're just living your life and listening to contemporary music, whatever or whatever your hobbies are. Did you shot all of this before COVID, right? Obviously.
Yeah, just before COVID. We were finished in December.
So a year ago.
Yeah.
So what did you imagine was going to be the journey of the film, and what actually has been the journey of the film?
Well, actually, I had this idea for about 12 years. I walked around with it for 12 years. Before I went to film school, I already was thinking about this film, but I had to train to be a better filmmaker before I could shoot this for me. So when I finally shot it last year, it was like I'm so glad it happened, but I didn't think about what was coming or whatever. I always thought this is a really small film, a small story, so I didn't expect to be the opening of the Dutch Film Festival and winning the biggest prize you can win in Holland. So it was, couldn't believe it. Still can't believe it actually. Really, it's been a trip for everyone who worked on this film, and also for my family and the island especially, because they're really small, like 170,000 people live on Curacao, and the language is only spoken on three islands. So for them, it's amazing that a film like BULADO is being made and is being seen by the Netherlands, but also by the jury of the United States.
Yeah, so it did get into a Dutch film festival, and did it get to play in I mean, are there theaters in the Netherlands open?
Yeah.
There are.
Yeah, there were. It was shown in almost every city in Holland, in the Netherlands, and it was amazing. So everybody could watch it, could see it, and that was because it was the opening film of the festival. That's why it was on all the Dutch theaters. Yeah.
So I could see. So what was the reaction? I could see why you would think that it's kind of a quiet film that maybe not everybody would connect to. But what was the reactions that came?
Well, people were really emotional. They really, a lot of people shed tears, and I never have made a film which was this emotional. But this is a film which is really special for me because it's about my own family, and I think people picked it up or felt that it was like something really truthful, or I think they loved it actually. So that was nice. It was really nice.
I think it's always great when something that's very personal connects to other people. What do you want to do, sort of, as a filmmaker, career-wise? Since this is a very personal film, you said you had it in your heart for a long time. As a filmmaker, sort of, what are your ambitions?
Well, I have a couple of more stories I want to tell. They are. The pace of those stories are a bit higher because this is a really slow movie, and I was always thinking, but maybe I should start slow and then go up. So my next film at the moment, it's a crime drama which takes also place on Curacao, and I'm writing on it, and it's also based on again my family. So
all the criminals in your family.
Not that I know of. No. But the characters and the things they go through.
So you're writing it as well, because this film, you're not the writer on this film.
Yeah, I wrote it together with Esther.
Together with this other writer, right? Yeah. You're going to set all your films in Curacao, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I really want to go to.
Who are some of your favorite directors? For the people who sort of, as you went to.
The first film I watched were from Kieslowski, and the Polish director, and the Russian one, Stalker. What's his name? I forgot his name. The biggest Russian cinematographer. I forgot his name. And then, of course, Spike Lee, because my father raised me with Spike Lee, because he's a black man in the Netherlands, so he wanted to teach me some about culture and racism and everything. And well, there are lots of. I'm not good at names, but
that's okay.
Yeah, at the moment it's it's.
That's quite a range, Spike Lee and Kieslowski. That gives me quite a view. Did you, growing up in the Netherlands, feel like racism was an issue that you had to deal with?
Yeah, it was because lots of my friends were people of color. Racism was a big issue for my father and my mother because my mother is white, and yeah, when they found each other, yeah, there was a lot of racism when she was pregnant. People disliked the fact that she was pregnant from my father. Yeah, there's a yeah, I have lots of experience with when I was together with my father. I have a lot of experience about racism. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that gives you a really unique perspective and something that you can bring to your work. It's obviously something that we're talking about a lot in the United States, and trying to deal with it more honestly than, or I would say, in really looking to include people of color and have those voices heard, since they have not been heard nearly enough. Is there a similar movement in the Netherlands to be more inclusive in that way in the world of culture and the arts?
Well, of course, you have the Black Lives Matters movement also in the Netherlands, but there's also just a new TV channel, which is more about more inclusiveness on the Dutch television. So just like a couple of months now in the Netherlands, so that's good. There's a lot of good developments in that matter. Yeah.
Would you want to make a film in Hollywood if that opportunity came your way?
I think every filmmaker wants to make a film in Hollywood. Of course, it's the Valhalla of the film. Yeah, I think so. Of course.
Well, right now we don't have so many films in theaters, and BULADO is really something that I did not get to see it on a big screen, but I would have liked to, because the cinematography is really beautiful, and it's a vision of a place that I'm not familiar with, so it would be nice to see that. Do you have a preference of big screen versus the smaller screens, which is kind of where we're at right now? Because
yeah, and I want to make films for smaller screens, which also work on smaller screens. But I didn't figure out how to do it yet, because my first film was also really for the big screen. You couldn't watch it on a laptop, and actually I'm thinking about it for my next movie to make it work on a small screen. Yeah, I think yeah, this is the future also. So.
What's the difference for you in terms of how you think about either telling the story or shooting the story?
Yeah, I think shooting the story, of course, because
you would shoot it differently.
Yeah, because my films are made for the big screen, sound is really important, and actually it's more about sound than the image, because in my film sounds are a big part of the story. I think like maybe 20 or 30% of the story is being told by sound in my films, maybe more. And the sound of your laptop is really crap, of course. So you have to think about it also. So in that way, it's for me, I have to reinvent myself as a filmmaker to make it work on a small screen. It's not only close-ups and wide shots difference, but also I think in the sound, it's the biggest difference.
Yeah, I see what you mean, because yeah, BULADO is certainly a film that it just sort of cries out for a good sound system and a big space for it to breathe, and to be in a dark room also and not interrupted by things, because it has such a meditative quality to it.
Exactly. Yeah, there were like three characters: the girl, the father, and the grandfather. But the fourth character was the wind, and the wind lived by the sound. So that's hard to make it work to make it good work on a laptop.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today, Éche, and thank you for talking about the film. I definitely want to encourage all of our listeners to download the link if you haven't seen the film yet. It's really worth your time, and to do it at a time when it's quiet and you can make the room dark, because it's a beautiful experience. Actually, we look for first of all, good luck to you at this year's Academy Awards in the international category, and congratulations on being chosen by the Netherlands for being the entry. And we really look forward to not just this year's race, but to all the work that you're going to bring us in the years to come.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you to everyone for joining us today for our conversation with the director of BULADO, Éche Janga. It was great to have you. Be sure to take advantage of our free trial to TheWrap Pro and be first to know about all of our upcoming WRAP screenings. You can also check back on our screening schedule at screenings.thewrap.com as well. Thanks for being here and see you next time.